So I think Candace was asking me about Black Lives Matter.
That's
and
where
DC. So this is, I'm hoping things are going to change, but I'm 68 years old. And I thought when I graduated from high school in 1970, and I underneath my graduation robe, I was reading a book called The Whole World is Watching, about all the upheaval that was going on. Affirmative action was happening, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, Black Power. Things changed, doors opened up. And then the backlash continued to come. And then, it's Obama was elected, and then Trump was elected. I wrote an article for Al Jazeera 5 years ago that started off with Michael Brown's death in Ferguson. And I talked about the history of, racism, and this is why America is the way it is. And now everything is going to change. Well, but it is interesting to see the numbers of white people in the streets.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that a number of African-American scholars like Khalil Muhammad, if you haven't read his book, Condemnation of Blackness, Khalil Gibran Muhammad, really smart brother, and Ibram Kendi's book, so many things, so many scholars are speaking out, but also so many political activists, so many journalists are really changing the conversation. So now it's not just police reform, it's defund the police. Now, the police departments are not going to be defunded, but the fact that there is now a conversation like it is not working to just let the same old police unions with their racism run things, that we have to structurally change things. How much structural change will happen and how quickly, I don't know. I was on a Zoom call with some girlfriends last night, and one of them is white, and she said, my people are really evil, and they're not, and she's not, but she said, 33% of white people are not going to get with the program. And I think she's probably right. So there's always going to be this resistance that will rear its ugly head. And it has been able to blossom under Trump. And people whose 401ks, whose investment portfolios are doing well, it's not really affecting them if George Floyd gets killed. But some of their children and some white women are wanting to see something different. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of waiting with hope. And I don't know. So I'm seeing things going on in the UK. So what are you guys seeing? What do you think?
Yeah, we've had a ton of protests over the last week. We're all based, Jamelia, myself, and Siobhan, we're all based in London, but Beulah's actually based out of London. And you've had a ton of protests as well. It's been really rife. And I think exactly the same observation that you found, I kind of speak for me right now, is that the tapestry of cultures that I've seen at this protest is like nothing I've seen in my lifetime. And I think for the first time in a long time, people are starting to see this as a human issue and not just a Black issue. And because of that, I feel like there's a different shift and change that may come about. What it looks like, I have no idea. But again, like yourself, I'm kind of hopeful that change will come, because there's been some, what others would consider radical acts take place over the last couple of days. Like one of the slave master statues was ripped off a podium in Bristol and thrown into the river.
Best moment ever. Best moment ever.
So yeah,
that video.
I'll find it and send it to you, because honestly,
right.
And the best part is what you'll see is white hands are the ones pushing the statue, rolling it all the way down the road, and then they push it into the river, and we're all
I actually have seen that sort of thing pushing down the road. I didn't know what that was, but yes, send me whatever you have. Because it was really clunky, and I'm like, why don't they get a rope? But maybe symbolically, it was just better to.
I don't know why they did it, but I was happy they did it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Small
great.
victories, right? small victories. We're just going to celebrate them one at a time.
There we go. And I know they're starting to remove a few in London before the protesters start removing them for them.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting is the language that they use. So they say that they're temporarily removing them. So that means that there's still the intention to replace them, which I think just speaks for British politics. Sorry, like we're going to remove them temporarily to appease everyone, so that there's not too much backlash. And then when no one's paying attention, we're going to put them back.
We're going to put them back. Or maybe we'll just keep them in a warehouse and forever until hell freezes over. Yeah, it's an interesting time. I just I want to be hopeful, but I know that the beast is mean, that the beast is relentless. So I guess that means we have to be relentless too, and that's what we are.
Yep. Exactly.
That's what we are.
We have historically been relentless and just strong, for lack of a better term. So I think now is the time for just all of us to come together in a way that we haven't before. And I think look at some of our own biases within the community as well. There's been a lot of conversation and uprising of some comment that has come out from Black people to other Black people, which has kind of switched the curve a little bit. But I think now more than ever, it's been really nice to see a different type of unity just across the pond over here. And it's just been really nice to see people come together in a way that, again, like I've not seen in my lifetime. And I don't think this resurgence of Black Lives Matter feels very different to all of the other, what felt like just passing hashtags and just passing lives of just another Black body dead. It feels very different this time around for me.
Exactly.
It feels
very all right.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a joy to meet you. I'm so glad, Candace, that you reached out, and I look forward to staying in
replied. I'm very thankful.
Meeting you all in person at some point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, for sharing your experience and your well wishes. And Candace, thank you so much for making the connection, because this is definitely the highlight of 2020.